Davis mansion. What you think about it? What you think about that Mark Davis?
Just that money's going somewhere. Yeah. That money ain't going to wins. It's going to that goddamn mansion.
But what's crazy though, like, I know everybody's all like, "Oh my God, it's amazing," but it's like he literally just. It looks like the practice facility, but just you know what I mean.
It does.
And you use the same blueprints, just scaled down.
I'm like, damn, like you couldn't just. But when you're a billionaire, you know what I mean? I'm not a billionaire. I mean, I'm over here. I can't even critique like that. That it's huge. It's like on the top of the hill. It's a crazy, like it's a mansion, but it's just like, damn, like the creativity. I mean, on the 1 to 10, what would you give it, Severe?
I give it. He saved some money by using the blueprint. He's like, yeah, man, just give me this, but small size.
That's exactly what he did. It's just a replica.
But you know what? The inside bite for sure crazy. Inside, got it.
I guarantee you it is.
100%. It's on PF Chang's and everything.
PF Chang's, In and Out. You know what I mean? Like you name it, he got it, man. Hey, man, don't forget to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Here we go.
Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We are back for another edition of Around the Shield, man, and we got a special guest in the building, 805 Raider Real Talk, Raider Nation in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Happening, fellas. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. It's good to be on here.
Man. Yeah, man. It's been a minute, man. But
yeah.
we got plenty to catch up, especially with the joint practice that happened today between the Niners and the Raiders. We'll get into that. Hopefully we'll have some positive things to talk about today, but there were some concerning things. There's always going to be good and bad. There's always going to be good and bad. There's always going to be a balance of the two. Hopefully it's not going to lean towards negative, but we'll have that conversation. If you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. Marcus Zamora in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. He says, let's get it. Let's get it. For sure. Carlos Enfuego, strictly a Raiders fan and no one else, just win, baby, man. I couldn't say any better myself, man.
For sure.
My guy Mint Beats in the building, man. We got people pulling up. Definitely check out the last episode. Mint Beats and Severe and myself. We had a good conversation after last week's game, but man, we were pretty just like everybody else that watched the game. We're pretty disgusted, but it is what it is. We'll try to keep it as positive as we can today, man. That's gonna be the theme. We'll try to keep it as optimistic as we can, but we'll give you the truth no matter what. My guy Mint Beat said, heard them linebackers were looking suspect during joint practice today with passes across the middle. Hopefully we see some progress on Saturday. Yeah, it's not good when Kyle Juszczyk gets a long touchdown and Ricky Pearsall, one of the only healthy receiver out there, they're going against backups, and Pearsall is getting long touchdowns, which I believe he's the slot receiver, right? He's a slot. Yeah. So the nickel,
he played both, but yeah, he played a lot of slot.
Yeah, they move him around because they try to make it a Ayuk a little bit sometimes, and so they move him around. But yeah, if he's getting up on us, I like Pearsall. He's a Florida guy.
Your boy. That's your boy.
Like him, but if he's getting up on us, man, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, Hata Mike, he says, salute 50-50, salute chat. This is Around the Shield with our special guest, 805 Raider, man. My 2 cents. Your boy Severe, man. My 2 cents.
Oh my God.
He's in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through, man.
Dropping dimes.
Raiders smoke in the building, man. Hopefully all is well. I know you was sick the other day, man. What's up, chat? My guy Severe Pharaoh, what it do? Heard our corners got barbecue grilled at the they did. 805, salute my guy. Yeah, man. They did. They did. We'll get into that conversation. Kevin Lurker in the building says, touchdown Raiders, evening. Pharaoh, Severe 805 in the house. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a classic, man. Definitely tune in. And if you're just joining us, hit that like button. We're going live on both our channels, so definitely do that. 805's in the building. So if you haven't subscribed to 805, man, what are you doing? Head over to his channel. My bonds in the building. If y'all pulling up, they're gonna come through in a minute. Please post the link for 805, man. Appreciate them coming through. Alec in the building. Raider Pete. God, we got everybody pulling up today. Everybody pulling up today.
Coach in the building, got his juice ready. He said,
"Watch out,
the juice ready."
Yes, sir. Coach is mad at us the other day. He was like, "What took you so long?"
Because his juice had melted. He had the juice ready. By the time we got on cam, the juice wasn't. It was melted at that point. You need to drink that juice frosty.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. We got Assassin's Creed in the building, man. The game is in the building, man. Assassin's Creed. Ken Kress is in the building, man. My guy, man. Appreciate you coming through. Mario pulling up, man. What's good? Raider Wisdom. Hey, man. Hopefully drop some wisdom for us today, man. Was Gucci, folks. Forget practice. We're going to see what up on Saturday. Yeah. To a certain extent. Okay. You know what? Let's just get into it, man. Let's not waste any time, man. Let's just get into it. So, obviously, yes, man. Salute to Yaya posting the link. Y'all see it. Appreciate my guy, man.
International man of mystery. Yeah. To my dude, jet setting all over the world, man.
Yes, sir. So the Raiders, like we said, the Raiders and the 49ers had a joint practice today. Offense, from what we heard from the beat writers that were there, the people that were there, had a slow start, but they were able to pick it up at the end. Trey Tucker kind of had a shaky start, had a couple of drops, but made it up with It sounds like a couple of long touchdowns, which is good to hear. Especially when we heard that, like, you know, and this is the value, I guess, of having like a Geno Smith, like one of his best attributes. It feels like he's a really good leader, because people were saying that he pulled Trey Tucker to the side, and literally within like 5-10 minutes later, Trey Tucker is catching a couple of touchdowns. So Brock Bowers, it's gonna be the Brock Bowers show this year. He had a good practice. Genty, Severe. Are we gonna show some Genty love? Because he had a couple of, from what they're saying, a couple of big runs. Tashawn confirmed one of those runs as 20 yards. So I don't know if that's gonna your standards. I don't know, man. That might not be enough. 20 yards might not be enough.
Should have been 21. God damn it.
Yeah, I don't, because I didn't hear a lot. I mean, I was scouring the internet. I didn't hear a lot. I heard about the big run, I think, and I saw a play where one-on-ones. They were doing one-on-one drills where he kind of cooked the linebacker. Had a nice catch. He had to slow down for the ball because the ball was a little bit underthrown, but you know, he still made the adjustment and caught it. So that's always good to see. But I didn't hear a lot other than that. I heard he had a good practice though. I did hear he got a good practice, but wasn't a lot of details.
Yeah. 805. You were at the game that was at Allegiant, right?
I was at the open practice at Allegiant. I've been to 2 practices at Henderson, the open practice at Allegiant, but I wasn't able to go today, man. I was so pissed. I wanted to go today. I wasn't, work got in the way, man. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Of all days, work wants to step up its game, need me now. So, but you know, I've been to two practices at Henderson and then 1 open practice. And it's tough because I don't know if you guys heard it, but I heard the reports that apparently the 49ers did ask that it was like a light contact day. Medium contact. Yeah, like to where it wasn't like full tackle. And whenever you hear that automatically favors the offense instantly. So you just don't know, you know, did a corner pull up? Could have, you know, laid a hit and just pulled up a little bit, allowed Genty to shake a little bit, you know, were they being as physical, you know, on the line of scrimmage with the receivers? I just don't know. So whenever you hear reports that it was just requested that they play a little bit lighter today and not full contact, you know, full tackle, it's like, okay, like how did it really look at the end of the day?
That's true.
That's the hard part.
Fred Warner forgot that memo because I heard he got Thornton real good to the point where like Carroll was like, okay, because Thornton got hit over the middle and then he looked kind of surprised by it, and Carroll just was like, nah, we're not risking it. He took him out or whatever. But what were you gonna say, Severe? Not to cut you off. Yeah.
No. That was good that you added that in there. I was gonna say because part of the reason why, you know, you can't put too much credence in what we did offensively today, which is you always want to have good days. You always want to have good days, but I mean, I think the total I heard was there were 19 49ers players that they weren't playing. You know, like it was so many people that were injured and having to like sit out that they had to bring in like extra tables for them to be there on the sideline. So you know, you always want to have positive days. Like you know, hey, whoever you're up against is what you're up against. You can't. That's not within your control. But you know, that's kind of gotta view this in the proper perspective. Like, wait, we had a good day, but it was against, you know, without some of the big dogs in there. And the big dog that was there, Fred Warner, I heard he had a day, and I heard that the corner, I think Lenore, I heard he had a pretty good day as well. So
because I think the entire interior defense, or not the 4-man front, Bosa, their other edge rusher, both interior tackles, starters weren't there today, or at least not practicing.
Yeah.
Half the secondary, starting secondary wasn't practicing, and so I think it's definitely try to put into perspective a little bit. But yeah, success is success. You'll take it any way you can get it.
Right. And I think the offensive line will take anything they can get. You know what I mean? Especially
right now,
in the last week or so, where, you know, a lot of us were like kind of critical from what we've seen, and rightfully so. I mean, there were questions going into the game, going into the offseason. We had, you know, we're cautiously optimistic, but then what we seen against backups last week, it didn't look, you know, as good as it should. And from what we heard today, lot of good things. From Vic Tafer, who is a now 49ers beat writer. He's like he was like he feels like the Raiders offensive line is overrated. He said they were better than what he thought.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah, he feels that they're going to be. He feels like they're underrated, but his exact quote was, I think he's on social media. He said that they're better than what he thought. Okay. You take that for however way you want to take that.
So he leaves being a reporter for us, and then actually starts talking positive. That's what he's playing. Okay, I see what's going on.
Yeah, but they had a good day. That the offensive line had a good day. Geno Smith was like, man, I had time to get to my third, fourth read. You know what I mean? I felt real comfortable back there. So offensive line had a good day. Now, that being said, you could say, oh, they're going against backups, but what happened when they went up against backups last week? It didn't look good. So they responded well to whatever, they were going, whatever happened last week. I feel like they responded well, and we'll see what they do in this preseason game. It is just preseason, but you want to see some type of, improvement, them responding to adjustments that the coaching staff makes. I mean, 805, man, like what is your take on the offensive line? The current state of the Raiders offensive line.
The current state is all signs are pointing to there's a good chance we're gonna have a long season on offense. That's the hard part, right? You got Dylan Parham, that's a massive question mark. Colton Miller, I think, is going to be solid if he continues to grow and progress like he did at the end of last season. I think he's going to be solid. But the shuffling of the offensive line, DJ Glaze, you just hope DJ Glaze continues to improve off of what he did at the end of last season, right? And if he does it, great. We might have ourselves a pretty good right tackle. But, moving Jordan Meredith to center, I'm a big fan of Jordan Meredith, but how well can he play there? JPJ, he was very hit or miss in the scrimmage, or the preseason game against Seattle. So how well is he adjusting to that position? Then, Dylan Parham. The shuffling of the offensive line scares me now. And if we miss on this offensive line and it fails, we had every opportunity in free agency in the draft to address it. And we got Alex Kappa, and we traded back twice in the second round, and it finally addressed it at the end of the third. So if our offensive line is not up to par, and you picked Genty at number 6, knowing that was your target, that was the guy you're going to get, and this is what you're going to do with the offensive line, I mean, I think it's an absolute fail with Spytek. So they better get it. It better be right. That's all I got to say. They had every opportunity to take shots at getting it right, and if that's the group you went with, then they failed.
Okay, all right. You mentioned JPJ's struggles, right? Would you say that some of the struggles would you say it's correctable, right?
100%.
Correctable, right?
Yeah.
And would you say a lot of it is like miscommunication and chemistry, especially because he's going with a guy that severe. To quote you, man, like it was hard to watch. You know what I mean? Thayer Munford last week. So when you have a guy struggling like that, and a guy that you're probably not gonna, Thayer Munford is not gonna be the starter unless, like, God forbid, knock on wood, there's some type of injury and he has to come on there. But like what I'm saying is that, like, I would think that a lot of the issues can be solved if they play together longer. You know what I mean?
Without question,
whatever that 5 is. But then also not before you go. Yeah. Also putting the guys in the right spots too. So a lot of people argue that maybe JBJ should be at center too as well. But the best 5 might be having Meredith in their starting lineup, and the Raiders coaching staff is saying center is a spot for him.
And I think that's kind of what they're doing. They're trying to get their best 5 out there, which if your best 5 doesn't include Alex Kappa, the second highest free agent that we brought in the offseason, then you missed. Knowing the struggles that Dylan Parham had last year, right? So that just tells me you missed, right? If Alex Kappa isn't playing. And in addition to that, the struggles that JPJ is going through, I can put some of that on him learning a brand new offense, right? He may not understand the calls, even though the scheme always is the same, right? Whether it's a more power run scheme or zone run scheme, it's all the same, but the calls can be very different. And so at the end of the day, I think, it might be JPJ just still learning the system, not understanding it, but then it's also on the coaching staff's fault because you're shuffling him so late into this offseason that he might only have 3 weeks at the guard position. And that's just not enough preparation for him to be ready full go week 1. And so, yeah, how long it takes him, I don't know, but I think communication is going to be real tough. And that could be part of his struggles, is just not knowing the offensive playbook right now.
Yeah. And that was what, some people are alluding to, especially guys like Richie Incognito, who was on I think Raider Nation Network with Vinny, and he was talking about how his struggles could be because,
I think it was JT. I think it was it JT? Was it JT the Brick? I thought was it JT Brick?
Either JT the Brick or Vinny, one of those guys, right? But he was on there, and he was basically saying that, like, there was a time where we tried to play center, and playing center, it's a whole different ball game because you're the quarterback of that offensive line. Your attention to detail needs to be on point, and everything is going to be changing every down and distance. So depending on the down and distance, everything changes, and you got to be on it, and you got to be able to see everything. And he's saying that not Richie Incognito, but JPJ needs to prove to the coaching staff that he can do that consistently. So that's what he feels like. Maybe that's what's going on, is that they're probably there's a little bit of adversity that he's probably dealing with right now. And also, hey, Meredith, also another thing, Meredith he did his thing. Like, he's impressing the coaches enough to put him at center, because I think, and I'll let Severe chime in on this too as well, but, they went up to him during OTAs. They thought, they gave him that opportunity, like, hey, look, what do you think about going to center? And he went through the entire offseason to prepare for that position, and he hasn't let up. So, like, right now, he's still the starting center. So we got to give him props for, for kind of like fighting it out. I mean, Severe, what do you think of what's going on with the offensive line? I mean, they did play. Hey, we got to give them credit. It seemed like they responded today at the joint practice.
Yeah. I mean, they responded. They had a good day. Like I said before, you can't help who's in front of you. At the end of the day, the man is in front of you. You got to have to beat the man in front of you, and that is not something we had a lot of success last Thursday. Obviously, when we played the Seattle Seahawks in an initial preseason game. The offensive line, the shuffling, I'm not a fan of it. I've already kind of said that. We had success down the stretch last year. Running the ball, the unit was cohesive. They were building chemistry. It seemed that things were going in the right direction. So I don't think there should have been a lot of change there. We found something in Meredith at guard. I think JPJ did a nice job at center. Parham, I think he was coming along. This added weight this year, I think, might have been even a step in more of a step in the right direction. Glaze had a very solid rookie year, and then when Colton Miller was healthy, he was one of the top 10 left tackles in the entire NFL. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's not broke, don't fix it. And they were trying to reinvent the wheel. And just in terms of Meredith and JPJ. That whole competition, like Richie, I said before, Richie Incognito, he's speaking from the point of view of somebody that was playing at tackle in college and wasn't playing on the interior, and then made the move to guard as a pro. So, him trying to play center as somebody that's coming all the way from tackle, like that's not generally a transition that you make. I like the story of Max Crosby talking about Andre James, like that comes to mind, where he was like, "Yo, man, this dude is trash. Like how is this dude like even here?" And then he went from that to being an underwhelming starter, but to a guy that was able to make starts at the center position in the league. So that is a huge transition. Generally, interior positions, they're more transferable, where, hey, if you play guard, you can, generally if you can play center, you can play guard. If you play guard, you may be able to play center, may not. But Jackson Powers Johnson is a guy that played center at a very high level in college, and then came in last year, played center pretty good as well. So I don't think that should have been a move they made. And just looking at the preseason game, I know I mentioned before that our guy Ray, he had sent me some plays, just really just focused on the offensive line, and just even some of the plays that he thought were solid from Meredith. I was like, yo, man, that's not a great rep. It's not a great rep either. It's certain stuff that he has to recognize. Like, if the defensive line are in a certain alignment, like, the play is going a certain direction, like, you can't just shoot to the second level and leave your right guard or leave your left guard that's out leveraged to try to block a zero tech, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you passing this guy off? You need to help here, and then you move to the second level. But he's just leaving. There's another play where there's a stunt where to his right, there's a stunt. Like, his guard and his tackle, there is a miscommunication on the stunt there, and Meredith is just in the middle of the field, like blocking grass, not blocking anybody, he's blocking grass. As it's one thing you know early on as a football player, you do not get caught blocking grass. Go hit somebody. I don't know who it is, you go hit somebody. So if you're just standing there, once you recognize, hey, no, it's not a delayed blitz coming, go find somebody to hit. And I, as a play later on where Jackson Powers Johnson, he did that. Hey, you know what? His man wasn't in the play. He had done his job. So what did he do? He peeled back and he helped the right tackle. Like, that's what you do. So, like, it's just stuff like that. When I see it's not encouraging. It's not encouraging. Now there's still time. We still got, almost a month till the season starts. So it's not like locked in right now. It's not set in stone that this is how they're going to be playing. But you can see that they made this switch so late that it didn't really give these guys a lot of time to gel. And if this was their thinking, this is something that should have been identified much earlier on, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and Pete Carroll, he got hired like in February. Was it in February? Pete Carroll? Spike taking Pete Carroll. Did they get hired like in February? Yeah, I think around that time, right?
Late February, maybe.
Yeah, because they didn't hire, the Raiders didn't hire a coach like right away. They kind of took their time a little bit.
They were waiting for Ben, and Ben was like, "Nah, I'm going to Chicago."
Yeah, exactly. Like that was their number one target for real. Now that being said, I actually want to ask you this question. I was thinking about it. Like, you made a comment saying that, if the offensive line it is the way it is, and we drafted a running back at number 6, like, it's a huge fail. Who would you have drafted at number 6, in your opinion? Or who are you looking to draft at number 6?
For me, so the whole goal for me was to trade back. Want to trade back, stockpile some picks. If I would have stuck there, I like Tedderell McMillan. I like T-Mac. That was a guy that I really liked. That would have been my two options: trade back or go T-Mac. Now, there was a lot of question marks what we were going to do with Colton Miller. And so I wouldn't have been mad if they went ahead and went after an offensive tackle like a Kelvin Banks. Because if they got Kelvin Banks and you got the tackle of the future, you never know. You can shuffle down and put DJ Glaze down at guard. He has experience at guard. And so you could put Kelvin Banks at the right tackle, push DJ Glaze down to guard, and now you can move into the season with a pretty solid offensive line, in my opinion. But that would have been my first two: trade back, or it would have been T-Mac.
Got you. Okay, so you would have went like wideout. So I was thinking that you were going to say offensive line. That you were going to say offensive line.
I mean, I wouldn't have been mad at offensive line. I mean, Calvin Banks was my favorite tackle. And here's the thing. One of the things that I look at when we talk about first rounders, right? One, you got that 5th year option. But two, there's certain positions on the team that take up the mass majority of your salary cap, right? It's quarterback, it's edge rusher, it's left tackle, number 1 corner. Those guys take up the mass majority of your salary cap. And if you can address, and number 1 receiver, if you can address one of those 5 and it's a need, I'd go after it without a question, because now you lock in a rookie within a rookie contract and you get that 5th year option if they work out, and you don't have to dump all that salary cap into a player. And so I number 1 receiver, if you could have tied up T-Mac, especially after what Jamar Chase just got paid over in Cincy, give me a number 1 receiver and let's lock that guy up for 5 years and we ain't got to worry about that.
And that's the argument. That's the argument with drafting a premium position. It's not even just it's the value, money wise, because those guys are getting paid. You know what I mean? Quarterbacks are they're getting paid. Wide receivers, they're getting paid. So getting guys like that, or pass rushers, they're getting paid, and those are guys that you want to draft early because you can get them. You can get talented players on a cheaper contract. I think Genty, his contract, I don't know, don't quote me on this. I think Severe, we talked about it before. Where it was like top 5 in the NFL.
It was. I don't know the exact numbers on James Cook's deal, but in terms of average annual value on his contract, it is second only to Saquon Barkley. So and for context, I think Brock Bowers, he was like 33rd among tight ends. So so as a pass catcher, so like it's backup tight ends that are making more per year than Brock Bowers. So that is or no, I'm just scratch that. Teteroa is like 33rd. Teteroa is 33rd in his contract. I forgot. Brock is low too. Brock is somewhere like in the 20s. But Teteroa is like 33rd in terms of wide receiver contract annual value.
But tight ends, but tight ends are not getting paid too as well. Like overall, like maybe I don't know what Kelsey's deal, or not even Kelsey. Who would be the next guy? Greg Olsen. I forgot what his deal was, but they're not really getting deal because they're not. Let's be honest. Tight end is not a premium position. It's not wide receiver. They're not getting wide receiver money. Yeah,
it's like who was that? Who was it that wanted to get wide receiver money?
Jimmy Graham.
Was it Jimmy Graham?
Yeah, it was Jimmy Graham.
That he was pushing like you're going to pay me like a number 1 receiver because that's what he felt he was on that team, and it just never happened. So tight ends I don't think will ever kind of get that top tier or be looked at as top tier money.
Damn, it's crazy too when he got traded to the Seattle Seahawks. It's almost like his career just ended. He wasn't. I did not hear from him. He wasn't like the player that he was with the Saints in other places. Like I know he played for the Seahawks, the Packers.
Oh, he moved all over the place.
Yeah, he moved around, but he wasn't the same player, and that's credit to Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and pretty much plugging in a player, and then Marcus Colston, do you think Colston would have been a good player anywhere else?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I felt like at that time, it felt like whoever you plugged in that Saints offense with Drew Brees and company and Sean Payton in his bag in that offense, I felt like they were going to get their numbers.
Possibly, but Marcus Colston, he had that intangible. I mean, he was tall. He had some speed on him. He had the size to basically just body up any corner. So it's could he went anywhere? I don't know if it's anywhere, but if he just had a decent quarterback with a defense offensive coordinator, you could scheme the ball to him. It wouldn't be that hard, I don't think.
Yeah, because he was, to me, I didn't really think I don't think he was the fastest guy. He was more of a big body receiver.
Yeah.
More of a possession, to be honest with you, but
yeah.
But no, he wasn't a bad player. I'm just saying it just because it just feels like there are certain players that are more replaceable than others. You know what I mean? Like there's certain players like, man, if this guy lead, like where can you replace this? Like where can you, like the Broncos for years felt like they could replace any running back in them days, in the Shanahan days. I mean, Kyle Shanahan kind of probably feels like that, you know, be honest with you.
It could, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like Colston's not like a Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill has a very special skill set that you can't replicate with just a normal receiver. And so with Colston, I think he could have success elsewhere, but probably not with every team. You know, he needs some pieces to help out.
Well, speaking of speed, I know he got signed, but I thought it was interesting how people were reacting to
Isaiah Bond, his charges being dismissed. And I'm like, this dude he's a bona fide explosive weapon, whatever you want to call it. Teams are looking for ways to score touchdowns and to get explosive. And this guy is literally going to be signed to a cheap contract. He's an undrafted deal. And people were like, oh no, we don't want him because he's not the right guy. He comes with baggage, and like the charges were dismissed. Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you guys overthinking this? And literally within like 10 minutes of the news being like released by Adam Schefter, he announces that he signed with the Browns.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, good for the Browns. I mean, they went ahead and like picked him up. But like, if he was still available, would you guys be open to signing Isaiah Bond?
Hey, definitely.
In a heartbeat.
No brainer, right? No brainer. Yeah. Especially because we don't even have a bona fide number one option. And not to say that Bond is that, but when you don't have a number one option, you gotta, and when you don't have as much talent like the Raiders don't have,
exactly,
you gotta keep adding talent. You gotta stack talent. Like look what the Eagles are doing. Look at teams like the Eagles, like they're constantly adding talent, and you would think like, oh, the Eagles got everything, like because they're constantly adding talent.
Well, and I don't know how it works when Isaiah Bond became available. Is there like a waiver situation with the NFL to where it's, certain teams have that opportunity? I honestly don't know. So I don't know if it was like a free for all.
They're waiting for his
free for all.
It was a free for all because they're waiting for his the case to play itself out. And once the prosecutor came out and said like, yeah, we're not going to be pursuing charges. So.
And here's the thing: is I don't know if whether or not it was. I didn't hear this or read this in any of the reports that came out that it was like they settled outside of court or anything like that. I heard that a grand jury reviewed the evidence, and a grand jury decided not to pursue any charges, and it was shut down. Yeah. Now, if it comes out that it was settled out of court some way, somehow, and I'm like, okay, then you may not want to bring that type of attitude or drama in the locker room, because obviously with Mark Davis and just this, everything that's represented with the Raiders, so if it wasn't settled and that grand jury literally it was just thrown out, no charges, and he's clean, hell yeah, you bring that kid in.
For as cheap as it is to bring him in, oh my goodness, yes, no brainer,
God.
no brainer.
And the thing is, the value that he would be bringing to you, like he could be that Swiss Army knife, weapon that Chip Kelly could use on offense, or he could be the deep threat, or he could be another deep threat, or special teams. Like the speed is evident, with Isaiah Bond. So, I thought it was a no-brainer, but I thought it was just interesting how people were just reacting to like, oh, what? Isaiah Bond? No, we're set at wide receiver. Are you serious? We are not set at wide receiver. We don't have a number one option. Let's actually talk about that, because in today's joint practice, they said the only person that was actually getting open was Jacoby Myers. Everybody was struggling to get open. And then, Trey Tucker had his plays later on because he had a couple of drops, and then he made it up with a couple of touchdown catches. But overall, Jacoby Myers was the guy that was consistently getting open from the wide receiver group, and everybody else was struggling with press coverage. Guys like Dante Thornton, which was a question a little bit with him, like how is he going to respond to press coverage? And he plays against a physical team like the 49ers, and he's going against their backups. Struggled a a little bit. You know what I mean? And as well as the other receivers, Jack Besh as well. You know, he wasn't getting open as well. Is this going to be an issue throughout the season, or do you think that, you know, there might be a little bit of growing pains because we have some young receivers, and it'll get better?
Go
ahead, Sphere.
I mean, I think there's going to be growing pains. Obviously, there's going to be some growing pains. Do I think they'll get better? I think they'll get better. You know, but a lot of it depends. It's going to come down to this offensive line. Unfortunately, you know, it kind of goes back to that because I think we need this running game to be effective. Once this running game is effective, we can go play action. Then you get the opportunities for deep shots to, you know, Dante Thornton and Trey Tucker. So it kind of all comes full circle with that. But these guys are, you know, they're one of the toughest transitions to make, well, until last year. But a lot of times people say, like, you know, that transition to the NFL, playing the wide receiver position, a lot of people struggle, you know, making that move. So, you know, like Jack Besh, the athleticism to play outside, I don't think it's there. No, that's why I preferred him in the slot. But it seems like the Raiders feel that he can play on the outside, so there's going to be a transition period for him because he has to get faster, quicker. You know, he has to learn how to play against like elite athletes on the outside. And then Dante Thornton is the physicality aspect, you know, and then running the full route tree. He may have done it previously, but it's been some time since he's done it, and he hasn't done it against the level of athlete he's going to have to do it in the NFL. So do I think he can do it? You know, I think he can. You know, it's more difficult for those longer, taller guys to be able to do it, especially when you're a longer, taller guy like that, and you don't necessarily have like the physical strength to really like, hey, use your body on these breaks to create some separation. But you know, you have the speed, you have the threat of the speed, so people are going to play off you more often, and they're going to bail a lot, they're going to flip their hips and bail a lot quicker than, you know, the slower guy. So like he has to just learn how to use his traits and apply them to the NFL game, and that's going to take some time.
Yeah, man. If Deshaun Jackson can figure it out, then I'm sure Dante, you know, if he puts in the work, man, he can figure it out. But yeah, go ahead, AOP.
I think what's interesting is I just wanted, obviously Robert Saleh is back over there with the Niners as the defensive coordinator, and the one thing that Robert Saleh likes to do on defense is he's going to force you to beat him underneath. He's going to keep everything on top. He's going to make sure that you can't beat him over the top. And if Chip Kelly's trying to press the ball deep with Trey Tucker, if they're trying to hit the seams, if they're trying to stretch the field, Saleh's not going to let you do it within his defense, and he lets his athletic linebackers kind of roam underneath. And so I'm curious, you know, is that what they were doing? Were they making it somewhat hard for Geno Smith, the quarterbacks, to kind of hit that deep ball? And now it was forcing them to really try to pick the defense apart underneath. And Robert Saleh, he's a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see what happens this Saturday, because if Saleh does play his normal defense where it's like, look, you're not going to get that deep ball, so quarterbacks, you better learn how to pick me up, you know, pick me apart underneath. That's why the Niners have always had really athletic linebackers with Saleh, and they just fly. So maybe they were trying to go deep today. Yeah, obviously, there was rumors that Trey Tucker was doing some work, but anytime you got to hit underneath. When you're trying to learn a new offense, but you're trying to be precise underneath, that takes a lot of communication, a lot of timing, and if the timing's not there yet, you're going to struggle with a brand new offense. So, not to say that it's bad, it's just that might have been the reasons why the offense struggled underneath. Is, you know, we're learning new offense.
Yeah. Well, they said
and
that,
especially against a new opponent too. They've been doing it, but this is their first time doing it against other people. So like how they're going to play it is going to be different than how Pete Carroll and his defense and Patrick Graham and their defense is going to play it. So just that adjustment period. So like we kind of saw it like preseason week 1, right? Like against backups, we struggled, and it's just that we haven't seen other people for you know, we like that was our first experience against other people. So and in our offense, we always talk about how like defenses are ahead of offenses because offenses are predicated on timing and chemistry and understanding and precise, like distances and understanding where a guy's going to be, and him understanding where you're going to throw the ball to, or if he sees this coverage, understanding how he's going to play, how he's going to break, and especially in Chip Kelly's offense, where I think it was Bachman was talking about, what wide receivers have a lot of freedom in this offense. There's a lot of time, and that was, and hey, I hate to bring this up, but that's how it was in Josh McDaniels' offense too, where guys have a lot of freedom to, hey, if I see something, if I see they're playing it this way, I can break my route off short here, or I can sit my route down right here. But that's predicated on not only the wide receiver seeing that, but the quarterback seeing that. And what happens when they both don't see that is that interception that Aiden O'Connell threw. Because Bachman did the right thing. He saw the coverage, he set it down. Aiden O'Connell didn't see it. And so he threw the pass where the route was supposed to go, if it was a cover 3 and that cornerback was bailing, but he didn't bail. He sat there. And then Aiden O'Connell threw that interception. So that's why it's so important that these guys like get on the same page. And like all this stuff is growing pains, but you only have so much time to do it. So that I know people don't like hearing it, but there's a chance that we struggle this year because it takes time.
It takes time. Yeah. I was gonna say that it's gonna take time because that a lot of that is like chemistry and like timing and like, man, that's crazy. And I wanted to make actually say something about to 805 because you made a point by saying that since the level of hitting was like medium or like not as physical, because based off like I'm sure they got together and talked about it, and the 49ers had 20 players out and all of that stuff. The offenses today, like, it was extremely pass happy. So that can also probably play into like the struggles or maybe of the offenses. Possibly the Raiders defense struggled. If we got to be honest, like the Raiders defense struggled, but for the Raiders, they had a little bit of an adjustment because they didn't run the football. They opted more to pass, and maybe that was like Pete Carroll and Kyle Shanahan getting together, like, hey, look, like, because running the football is gonna be a lot more physical than it is if you had to pass the football. So we might be able to see that maybe this Saturday. Who knows? We'll see how it goes, but I thought that was like interesting that was extremely pass happy, and then you made that point about how like, it wasn't as physical as you would have wanted to be at a joint practice.
It's gonna be interesting because we came out against Seattle extremely pass happy. I think 75% of our runs came in those last like 3 offensive drives in the fourth quarter. I mean, we barely ran the ball in the first half. We came out so pass happy. So I don't know if Chip Kelly through this offseason or this preseason, he's really trying to dial in the passing game. I mean, because like to Severe's point, right? It's all about communication. If Alex Bachman is coming out saying that there's a lot of flexibility with the receivers, in some ways it's great because if you're on the same page, you're going to be able to expose defenses' weaknesses, find the open, the soft parts in the zone, stuff like that. But if you're not on the same page, it can get nasty fast. That's when interceptions happen. That's when, Geno Smith doesn't see it. The receiver goes one way. He's expecting the other way. Now Geno's got to bail, and so I'm curious to see what Chip Kelly's going to do with this offense this Saturday, because I think it looks like they're really trying to dial in the passing game and see if they can get quarterback receiver on the same page.
Yeah, man. And another thing too is that, like, what I heard about Chip Kelly and his offense is his running game is really diverse and like it's one of the best out there. But his passing game, I think, Severe, we talked about this early in the offseason, passing game is not as I won't say complicated, but it's maybe he's working on something that he feels like is not his strength on offense. And he probably doesn't want to show a lot because Carroll last week, Pete Carroll made a comment saying that the offense and defense is going to be pretty vanilla this entire preseason. So come week 1, we might see Genty run the ball 25 times, 30 times, or whatever, because just to catch people off guard. But but we'll see.
Yeah, I think. definitely do a lot more in the run game. Like they're going to keep it, especially Chip Kelly. That's his bait. Like the run game is his baby, and that's why I advocated for that hire so much. And I pounded the table, and a lot of people were negative about it because I just watching what he did. Especially at UCLA, like we're going to figure out a way to run the ball. We might have to do some gimmicky stuff, especially with this offensive line if it doesn't hold up. But he's going to figure out a way to run the ball, and then at that point, we just have to find ways to be productive, elsewhere. And right now we got a lot of youth out on the perimeter, whether it be Dante Thornton, whether it be Jack Besh, or inexperienced guys like still Trey Tucker and Alex Bachman if he makes the team, or I don't know if it's going to be Shedrick or likely not Malat. So it's a lot of question marks at pass catchers outside of Brock Bowers, and that's like Brock and Jacoby are the two rocks we have. And everywhere else, so it's that creates a situation where you have a high ceiling if these guys reach their potential, but the floor is also pretty low as well because you're depending on young players to be productive fast in the NFL, and people don't always make that transition quickly year one.
One quick thing, and I like how Pete Carroll tries to he twists it, right? He's going to say it's going to stay very vanilla. Well, everybody in the league right now is very vanilla because you have players that are going to get cut on these teams and go to other teams. You don't want to be, you're not going to be like, hey, young kid, here's my entire playbook. Oh shit, yeah, we're going to cut you now. Go play for Miami, and bring everything I just taught you with. And so everything's going to be very vanilla because I think that we still have 90 plus players on this roster. You got to cut down to a 53-man roster. So a lot of these guys are going to walk away, and so it's not going to really start to pour on until we cut these guys down. So it's very vanilla.
I hate that. It's part of the game. Don't get me wrong. But I hate when a player that we release that played for us that week. We played the Broncos, the Chargers, and they sign him. Yep. And I'm like this motherfucker over here. We know exactly what's happening. He's basically telling them exactly what the Raiders like to do, this player's weakness, whatever they can get out of him. And he's getting paid for it. He's like, hey, look, I'm getting paid for this.
100%.
But it's part of the game. Every team does it. The Raiders even do it, so every team does it. But I just man, that is kind of annoying to know that players just go out there and just literally give away all the secrets of the team, but pretty much. Man, if you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Here we go. Let's see. Let's get the chat right here. What? I did not hear this. Leo, you said, did someone get busted for selling playbooks?
Before, possibly. I never heard of it, but possibly before.
I never heard of it.
Yeah. I haven't heard that. Now, if you're talking about maybe the Jim Harbaugh situation where he was stealing signs or something like that, maybe that's what you're talking about, possibly. But they had a whole documentary about that, which is crazy.
Not to bring up old times, but the dumbest move I think I've ever seen was Josh McDaniels letting Jared Stidham go. That was his product for 4 seasons, and then he goes over to the Broncos. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You taught this kid for 4 seasons your entire offensive scheme, game plan, everything, and you let him go, and the Broncos pick his ass up. It's okay, got it.
And they didn't even want to pay him just a little bit, and they go ahead and overpay Jimmy G, who's been hurt for the majority. They literally overpaid. I don't know who was going to pay that much money to a guy that's been hurt every year, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And I seen some posts by some Rams homer talking about all the teams that Jimmy G would start. And it was a whole half the league. I'm who? Someone needs to tell this guy something. No one's telling this guy the truth. Because this dude, Jimmy G, is trash. He's garbage. And by the way, Severe.
Heard through a hospital ball out there. Yeah, I heard that too. It's oh man, if it was full contact, Devontae would have got destroyed. Yeah. That's how it is though, man. That's like it's always gonna be homerism. That's how it goes. Like they're gonna say, "Oh man, we got this guy. Like we're so fortunate to have this guy because every team in the league wanted him, you know." And that's just how it goes. But like Devontae, I'm sure is looking like, you know what, I gotta get out of here.
And you know what? If anybody could make Jimmy G look good on offense, it'd probably be Sean McVay. You know what I mean? But Kyle Shanahan had him at quarterback, and he was barely looking decent.
Oh, he was. Well, I think there was something stupid where he went. They went on like a 6-game winning streak, and Jimmy G threw 1 touchdown through those 6 games with the Niners. Like it was just like they're winning games 12-9. It's just like, yeah.
No, who will make him look good? No, who will make him look good? You know, I hate to say it. Sean Payton too. Sean Payton will make him look good. Like you saw what Sean Payton did, especially like down toward the latter end of Drew Brees' career. Yeah. When Drew Brees' arm was basically gone. He's basically gone, no arm at all, and they still were able to manufacture passing yards and, you know, got creative with Alvin Kamara and you know what he did with Taysom Hill. Like he was able to do some things with the quarterback that really couldn't throw for distance. So I think he would have been able to, you know, find a use for Jimmy.
Well, West Coast offense, short passing game, that's like Sean Payton special right there. So I could see that. Yeah, definitely. Steady 2 years, $10 million for Broncos at the time. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was tough. Because I was
you couldn't pay him more. That's crazy.
And I wasn't even the guy to say that Stidham would have been the guy that the Raiders should have started the following season. I was like, sign Stidham and draft a QB.
Let him compete.
Yep.
And let the 100%. Best man win. If the quarterback's not ready, Stidham could be the quarterback. I'm cool with that. But for whatever reason, I don't know. They, you know, that's in the past. Let's let it go. But let's talk about the Raiders defense.
My bad.
It's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good. Let's talk about the Raiders defense. They struggled. They struggled against the 49ers offense. The secondary, secondary struggled against backup wide receivers. We talked about the injuries on the 49ers. Think about it. Like the guys that were scoring touchdowns were, you know, the Pearsalls, who I think is like he's a slot receiver. And then you got Kyle Juszczyk as a fullback. That's kind of, I'm assuming that if a fullback is scoring a touchdown, that means the linebacker is getting burnt somewhere. You know, who's going to be matched up with the fullback? I'm assuming that it's probably going to be a linebacker, maybe safety. Yeah. I wouldn't think it would be corner right, but either way, someone's getting burnt. The secondary is struggling. Defensive tackle is an issue. Outside of Adam Butler, they're rotating like 500 guys over there. Like, and they're trying to figure out who's going to be the guy to start. Pete Carroll went out his way to be complimenting the guy they just traded for, you know, Thomas Booker. Yeah. I mean, 805, what is your take on the state of the Raiders defense right now and the joint practice and their struggles?
I think what's tough is what we're like, it's the perfect example of the NFL and just the emotion that, you know, the fans have, and I've been guilty of it too. So I'm not excluding myself of this. We are all about like, what have you done for me lately in the NFL? Like Devin White yesterday, everybody was like, oh shit, watch out. Devin White got 2 interceptions in practice. And everybody's like, watch out. He's going to be it. He's going to be the guy. And then we find out he's getting burned today, you know, in the joint practice. It's like, I think what's going to be tough is I think these players, they got to figure out, one, how they're going to play, you know, side by side with each other in Patrick Graham's system. I think Patrick Graham, with Pete Carroll being a defensive guy, is Pete Carroll trying to put his stamp on this defense. And so now Patrick Graham is trying to implement something new that maybe some of the guys that were here last year, they're trying to learn something new, and there's communication issues. You know, it's tough because I think we're on a roller coaster right now of, you know, some days they do real good, and some days we're struggling. And so we're going to have to wait to see just kind of what this 49er preseason game looks like. And I don't even know if we're going to get a good taste of what it's going to look like against the Cardinals, because the Cardinals, you basically play all the guys on the bubble, right? Those guys are still trying to make the squad.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I don't know. I think we're just on kind of a roller coaster ride right now with the defense, just to really figure out how is this going to work out? Because we went bargain shopping at every single position this offseason.
Yeah. I mean, Severe, like, look, Patrick Graham has been there for 4 years. You'd think that would be a great thing. 4 years, same defense. Oh, that defense is going to be flying. They're going to be playing super fast. They've been in that defense, but wait, we didn't bring back this guy. We didn't re-sign this guy. This guy was a bust, and this guy, So if you think about it, how many players are returning to this defense? How many new starters are there? Max Crosby, Adam Butler, they're on the defensive line. And then everybody else, like Palomau might be a guy, but he came in as a backup last season. He did start for a good amount of games, but he wasn't even the projected starter going into the season, part of the season. So what I'm trying to say is that, like, there's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of players who are trying to figure out their role on this defense, trying to figure out their way, a lot of young pieces. And last week I had an overreaction take. Me, Severe, Shots to Men Beats, we had an overreaction segment take, whatever you want to call it. And I know it was right after a post-game show. That's probably not the best time to do it, but it is. So we went ahead, and one of my overreaction tape was the Raiders defense is not going to be good this year. And the reason why I went ahead and say it wasn't just because of what happened in the preseason game. It was more so like looking at the talent on the roster. I mean, like does Patrick Graham got to be like the best coach of all time for him to like make this he doesn't have a lot of talent to work with. And then on top of that, like we have a lot more questions than answers on defense. I mean, Severe, like, am I tripping, bro? Like, I try to clean it up last show. Try to clean it up a little bit. Like, oh, you know what? It might be a chance. The Pete Carroll said it's vanilla. Last week he said it's vanilla. Like the defense is vanilla, the offense is vanilla. I get that, but you sent me a clip today, Severe, by who was at the tight end?
George Kittle.
George Kittle was talking about the Raiders, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we were looking at defenses from 2015, and they were doing the same stuff last week." I was like, 2015? That's 10 years ago. I'm like, am I tripping? Is this defense? Can you see this defense being at least respectable this season?
That is wild though. Yeah, every time I think about that, I just be thinking about our Shell 2.0. It's like,
oh, real quick. Leo said in 1972, Carl Sweden and his cousin were arrested by FBI agents while attempting to sell a Los Angeles Rams playbook to New Orleans Saints coach. Damn.
There you go. Crazy. All right, Leo.
Ooh. Hey, Leo in his bag today, man.
Statistician.
I like it.
But yeah, producer Leo with the facts. But man. Like the hope is that as Pete Carroll kept bringing up, he kept reiterating this point. Preseason, everything's vanilla, right? Everything's vanilla. They're just not going to run anything. No. Now, ironically, boy wasn't. I think Vic Fangio was out there like running some stuff. I think Steve Spagnuolo was out there like showing some stuff. But Pete Carroll, he's committed to just keeping everything super simple, super vanilla, not really doing a whole bunch of disguising. Like nothing too crazy complex. They don't want to show their hand. Just keep everything. Hey, it's base coverage is basically. And at that point, it's kind of the situation is my guy better than your guy? And you would hope that when you're playing against people that are not projected to be starters, that your projected starters will be better than their projected backups. And last week in Seattle, that wasn't necessarily the case. And you think about it, like that first drive, we were kind of bailed out by Isaiah Palomau making that interception. We can't count on. Like that's because that's what happened. I forgot what year it was, but it was one year. Was it the Jack Del Rio year? But I want to say like we had a whole bunch of turnovers. So like our defense wasn't really that great, but we turned the ball over. We got a lot of turnovers. So that's what kind of like, hey, you know what? People aren't really scoring on us because we're able to generate turnovers. But as soon as that stopped, the very next year, it's like, okay, well, damn, like, you know, like your horse and carriage can turn back into a pumpkin. So you can't always depend on that. So it's going to be tough, especially because we're so young. Like you hear from what I'm hearing, like Caillou Blue Kelly, a guy that was buried on the depth chart last year, like he saw a lot of snaps, and somebody even said the lion's share of snaps at number one corner. You know, at the expense of a guy like Darren Porter, who you would think they would want to get as many opportunities as possible because he's a guy that didn't do a lot of starting at corner, you know, at the collegiate level. And then you think about the injury to Lonnie Johnson. Now we're trying to bring in Terrell Edmonds, and then we're forced to, you know, elevate a guy like Chris Smith, Chris Smith Jr. to that spot. And now, you know, like what we do at nickel with Jeremy Chin, that plan might have to change because we might have to keep Chin back at safety and move somebody else up to play nickel, possibly Jamal Adams. So there's just a lot of moving parts. That's why there's going to be an adjustment period. I think if we can get Kuntz and Crosby to be the guys they were down the stretch of 2023, I think this defense has a chance, because then we can kind of stay in guys' hip pockets. We have long, athletic, lanky corners where they can make plays. But if we're going to force these guys to cover for a long period of time, as would be the case with any defense, like we're going to struggle covering, and especially at the linebacker level as well.
Linebacker, nickel, corner is a question. Defensive line, like the good news is we got Max Crosby. The bad news is everybody else. You know what I mean? The bad news is like, who else is going to step up on that defensive line? Kuntz is 1 year removed from ACL injury. It takes 2 years to recover from that injury. We haven't heard nothing from Kuntz. I hope he's a big contributor this year, but we haven't heard nothing. You remember we were all hyped up about Kuntz last year, and it was, unfortunate that he had that injury, but no one is talking about Kuntz. From the Patrick Grahams, I remember at the time, what's the Cincinnati Bengal head coach for years? I remember Marvin Lewis had an interview with the Raiders media, and he was talking about guys that he felt like were gonna break out. I think he brought up Adam Butler, and he talked about Kuntz was another guy. And it's just unfortunate that he got hurt that way, but I don't know if Kuntz is going to be the same Kuntz that we expected him to be to complement a Max Crosby. The only other person that had a sack today was your boy, Tyree. Yeah. Tyree was able to get a sack today.
Did you know how? Did you hear how it happened?
He ran into somebody on accident.
Now, so I was happy. I was like, oh man, because I was like, oh man, like I read the tweet. It was, oh man, like Tyree Wilson and Max, like they both were in on plays where either one of them it would have been a sack on the play. And then when I read about the play later on, I think it was Ted to win. Matter of fact, I commented on it because it was Ted to win. It's like, it was Tyree got the sack. It was he was playing at D tackle, and it was a tackle and stunt. And I'm like, yo, call me when Tyree gets a sack and it's not off of a stunt or him being unblocked, because that was all of his sacks except one last year were those kind of sacks, and one other sack was like a cover sack. So it's like, call me when Tyree beats his man and then he gets to the quarterback. Let me know. But I don't want to hear about him being unblocked and doing it, or it was a situation where it was a stunt and he did it, because that's like you generating pressures instead of Tyree generating the pressure himself.
Man, let me just Super Army Crime says, damn, Pharaoh, after one freaking game. This is not after one freaking game at all. This is me having doubts about the Raiders defense the entire offseason up until this point, just based off the amount of starters we lost, based off like 805 mentioned earlier, bargain shopping at every position on defense, you know what I mean, especially, and thinking that is going to be the answer, thinking that like guys that didn't work out everywhere else and bring them in and thinking like, oh, positive, mindset will solve, Pete Carroll, the Messiah, you know what I mean, is gonna, do what he did with Geno Smith to Devin White's, and that might work for maybe one or two players, but if you're doing that like at Devin White, Jalen Smith, who else is similar? I guess a guy that we like, Jamal Adams looked pretty solid last week, but yeah, if you're doing that for the majority of like every level of the defense, it's like, man, it's kind of questionable, especially look, I said there's more questions than answers. There's more questions than answers. So anytime I feel that way, that means that I'm going to be reaching. There's going to be something that we didn't expect to happen, and it could happen, but it's a long shot. You're expecting Patrick Graham to, and another thing too, and I want you to speak to this point, 805, is because I mentioned it earlier with the tight end for the 49ers saying that, we watched film from 2015.
Yeah.
And we looked at last week preseason game, and it was the same defense. Is that concerning? Is that the defense that we're going to go into the season? Because Patrick Graham's the defensive coordinator, but Pete Carroll seems like he has a huge say on the type of players that he wants on his defense. Is there going to be a clash on philosophy? Is there going to be what's going on? Because Patrick Graham likes to switch it up a little bit, and Pete Carroll's kind of more of like, hey, like he keeps it Gus Bradley-ish.
I don't know. It's like the hard part about Kittle is Kittle likes to joke a lot, right? And knowing that he faced Pete Carroll when he was with with Seattle back in the day, so he might have been saying, "Oh, I recognize that defense because I saw it when with Pete Carroll in Seattle." I have no clue, just kind of the context that he was throwing out there. But I think what's really tough is no matter what Patrick Graham comes out in, I don't think there's anybody that can think that this defense is just come out and say, oh no, we're going to be fine. There's no way you can say that, given the fact that there's literally nothing but question marks at almost every single position except for Max Crosby. And I would say Adam Butler. Adam Butler did extremely well last year, and I'll, even though everybody knows I'm an Adam Butler fan, but I think Adam Butler played solid last year. I don't think we have much question there. Max Crosby, solid player. Outside of that, you got literally at every position, it's either someone that's unproven, or we got somebody at just a budget price that we just don't know. Even Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams did well last year. But you better hold your breath because he can get hurt in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And so,
or last week,
and they're moving him to a different position. He's never played linebacker before, and so how is he going to adjust to play linebacker against starters? He played well against Seattle, all right, but he's playing nothing but backups. So how is he going to adjust against starting offenses at the linebacker position? How's Patrick Graham going to use them? And look, on our when we go live with Severe and Chris, we've been trying to break down Jeremy Chinn's game film, and I got about 30 plus clips on Jeremy Chinn, and I'll tell you right now, like I have some question marks. It's not the best film in the world.
So it's a downgrade. It's a downgrade. It's a downgrade from Morick and the way he was playing.
I think it all depends on how well Jeremy Chinn can grasp onto Patrick Graham's system. I think Trayvon Merrick just did a really good job in Patrick Graham's system. It remains to be seen just how well he's going to go over. I think where'd he go? Falcons?
No,
he went to the Panthers.
Panthers, yeah.
Panthers.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen just how well he's going to do over there. But I think in my opinion, based on what Merrick did in this defense, I think it's a downgrade. But Merrick got paid, so you kind of just got to weigh those two. So I don't know.
So-
There's just too many damn question marks.
Hey, so I'm crying. Am I tripping? You saying it now? Look, Kuntz, Crosby. Well, you put Crosby in there. You being sarcastic. You said too many things got to go right. Now, look, all I'm saying is that like I'm looking at this entire offseason. I'm like, okay, and then I'm hearing what I'm hearing from training camp. I'm listening to this joint practice. I seen what I'm seeing. I'm just adding everything up. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it's almost like best case scenario this season, because even going into the off season, you know, we didn't have a chance to talk probably when we had our, just thoughts on how the season was going to go. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like the Raiders are probably going to be ready to make that, to contend for a playoff spot this year. I think 2026 would be the target year. If you have another good off season, good draft, maybe get like a solid pickup in free agency. I'm not even sure if that's Spytek MO. I'm not sure if he's gonna ever do that, even if he has the money to like sign a guy in free agency, unless like it's, I don't know. It just feels like he wants to build through the draft. Wait, go ahead.
The only thing that I'll say this real quick. What's really tough is I actually feel for Patrick Graham. Even though I had some concerns with Patrick Graham last year, I believe it was 6 out of our first 9 games, we allowed the offense to take their opening drive and put points on the board. That's not a good look. You're not going to find success when you're allowing the team to consistently get points on the board the opening drive. So I have concerns in severe, we went over film last season, a lot of communication concerns. But I feel for Patrick Graham because he literally has an entire new defense. You're this entire offseason, even though you had a hand in picking some of these guys, he doesn't know who he has for the most part. How are these guys going to gel together?
Man,
And
the
that's
guys,
a process.
And the guys that like, it sucks because the guys that were on his defense last year are not the guys that I want to say. Like having Max Crosby, like you want Max Crosby. What I'm saying is that like the middle linebacker, the linebackers are the linebackers are learning the entire new defense. Secondary, safety, these are all guys that need to communicate and get it right, be on the same page. Max and Adam Butler their job is to stop the run and get after the quarterback. All these other guys, they're gonna have to, and I'm sure they have to communicate as well. But like the back end, the secondary, that's a whole different beast in itself. And they're all completely new. So they all have to be on the same page. What I'm saying is best case scenario is that the Raiders probably are going to have a slow start because they got to get it, figure it out. And then as the season goes on, it gets better. And as it gets better, then they can build off that. Because look, we just got done talking about the offense, right? We said that, look, the offensive line needs to gel. Yeah. Offensive line needs gel. The receivers and the way this Chip Kelly offense is and how like it's similar to that McDaniels system in that like they have a lot of freedom to change up routes. So that means the quarterback and the wide receiver have to be on the same page. Yeah. And like this is Geno Smith's first year in this offense as well as everybody else. So it just sounds like there's going to be an adjustment period.
Oh yeah.
To begin with, you know what I mean? But that's just me. That's my take on it. But y'all could chime in on that. But hey, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Severe, you got some?
Yeah, I think that, and I understand what's going on. Is that I think Pete Carroll has built up a lot of credibility, and deservedly so. People see. Hey, you know what? We see what Pete Carroll did at USC. They were struggling collegiate program, and he turned them around and turned them into national champions. Multiple Heisman winners there. Seattle was a struggling NFL team, and he turned them around. Went to a Super Bowl and won it. Should have won 2. So they think that hey, like he can come here and do the same thing. Which he can, but it takes time. His first year with USC, they were not a good team. His first 2 years with Seattle. His first year he went to the playoffs. Obviously not. First year he went to the playoffs, but they were 7-9. And guess what happened? The second year, what was their record? 7-9. So, like it takes time. And then I think they started winning double-digit games. But then how did he end there? His last 3 years, I think he lost 10 games at one point, and then I think he went like 9-8 the last 2 years, and they were fine. Like, you know what? It's time to move on. So like even if he can build it here, it's not going to be instant success because everywhere he's gone before, it's taken at least a year. Seattle it took 2 years. So like I think we have these great expectations, and nobody wants to go into a season like, oh man, we about to lose. Like nobody wants to have that feeling, but like we have to understand this is the NFL, and while some teams can turn around instantaneously, a lot of time it's like the old saying, like luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Like a lot of these times, like the infrastructure on these other places was there already. They just needed something else. But we ripped up the whole foundation and put in everything new. So it's not like you need that something else. It's like everything is something else because everything is new. So and when you have this many question marks, it's like anytime you have to say if this many times, there's a very good chance that you're not going to have a good result, right? Like I don't have to say if about Max Crosby. I don't have to say if about Adam Butler, right? Like outside of that, those are the only two guys I don't have to say if about, because if Eric Stokes gets injured again, if Darian Porter can't transition to the NFL, if Jeremy Chain doesn't finish offense, if Jamal Adams doesn't stay healthy, like if Landon Roberts doesn't improve, like there's a lot of ifs on this team. There's very few like bam, these are rock solids. So when you have that many, that leaves a wide range of outcomes as a possibility. So like it's not a situation where we are guaranteed success or success should be expected. We all should root for it, but to expect it, I think that's a bridge too far.
Yeah. And it's not like we have to have like great, like for all the people like, oh, we have to have great players at every position in order for us to be good. No, there's going to be great players, but there's also going to be good role players. Like Spillane, for example, he was a good, solid player.
Yes.
He was a guy that we could count on to be solid, a playmaker. If we're being honest, he was a playmaker. From what I've seen in Patrick Graham defense, he was a playmaker. Now, was he perfect? There were moments where he was missing tackles, he was exposed in coverage, but he made plays. He made plays. He could be a guy that can be a guy that can stop the run. He could be consistent.
He was a non-if.
Exactly.
You knew what you were getting.
Exactly, and that's my point. He was a guy that you knew you could get, and that's not and he's not even a guy that I consider to be a great player. And and I'm speaking to your point about like there's a lot of players, there's a lot of questions more than we have answers. And when it's that, then it's like, okay, then all right, we kind of know how this is going to go to a certain extent.
Because look, if everything works out perfectly, if everything is on the good side of things, then you can have a good season. And you're like, man, like we see it every year. I want to say every single year in the NFL, there's been a team that's gone from worst in their division to first. It's happened every single year. So there's a possibility, like, hey, when stuff goes right, that can happen for you. But like there's a lot of opportunity for it not to go right. And that has to be factored into whatever calculation you make.
Okay, well, you know what? We've been focused on how it's not going to go right. Like 805 man, like let us know how it can go right. How can we let's be real, like how can it go right? How can we catch teams off guard? Because we know there's going to be an adjustment period. How, like, okay, for example, the Commanders last year, right? No one expected them to do what they did. They had there was a young team. They drafted a young quarterback, but no one expected the quarterback, Jane Daniels, to be that good so soon. And the rest is history. And they won a bunch of games. Now, that being said, for the Raiders they don't have to be exactly what the Commanders did, but at least like, catch teams by surprise to start the season. And while they're figuring it out and adjusting, what's something that can help them get it right? Like, would it be Ashton Genty just dominating to start the season? Would it be, what would it be?
I think it's this offense completely taken off, right? We're hearing these rumors that, Tucker is kind of waking up with Geno Smith a little bit. Now, if we see a resurgence from Tucker, and now he's kind of that true deep threat. Jacoby Myers is another 1,000-yard receiver, and he's just gelling with Geno Smith, and Genty becomes that guy. This offensive line shocks us all. This offensive line gets Genty to, rush for 1,500 yards and maybe, 400 yards in the air. So it's like this offense has to gel. It's got to work. It's got to be able to move the ball. It's got to be able to really sustain the clock, right? You want to win that time of possession battle, right? You keep the defense off the field. You give the offense limited amounts of opportunity to score the football, especially with the teams that we're going to go up against. You want to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. And so how are you going to do that? You got to kill him on the ground. You got to kill the clock. It's got to be body shots day in and day out where you're converting on 4 to 5, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s. Like, that's what you have to do, is just those body blows that just extend plays and move the chains. Now you got you just look at our division. You got the Broncos. The Broncos are going to have probably one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to have to potentially just ground and pound the hell out of them, and hopefully you can win that time of possession battle. But then you got the Chargers. The Chargers are literally going to they're going to kill you on the ground. That's what they're going to want to do. They're going to want to throw Martin Hampton at you. I mean, they beefed up that offensive line. Now, they just lost Rashawn Slater, which sucks for them, right? Great for us, sucks for them. And you hate to see just any player kind of go out for the season. But if that offensive line does extremely well, they brought in Mekhi Becton, and if Najee Harris kind of gets up to full speed, even though I'm not a fan of Najee Harris, that's a damn good 1-2 punch potentially between Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. So this offense is going to have to be able to move the ball and fire on all cylinders probably by week 4. I'm going to give them to week 4 before they actually they got to be firing and being able to use Ashton Genty in multiple ways, not just on the ground, but get him in open space through the passing game and let him go to work. I think that's the only way. And here's the thing. We're not sitting there going, you better get 12 wins or it's a successful season. No, like, we won 4 games last year. If we get to 8-9 wins, that's progress. That's actually pretty damn good compared to just all the contracts that we have, the complete swap out of players that we have, new coaching staff, the whole 9. You get to 8-9 wins, that's actually pretty damn good. And so I think the offensive line has to shock us. We all got to be just, the concern that we've had on this offensive line, I think it's just got to completely surprise us. And Ashton Genty kind of goes off a little bit, and Geno Smith is able to kind of throw that rock and maybe throws for 4,200 yards and kind of surprises us. So I think that's the only way that we can find success this season, because I think the defense there's a good chance it's going to struggle. Patrick Graham's never been a guy that's going to dial up these defenses that are going to shut everybody down. He's never been that guy. Even when he had success with New York, when he was the DC over there, he had a good defense. Yeah, it was. Yeah, he was never just a constant 3-and-out guy. The offense will move the ball. The offense is going to get, maybe a 10, 11, 12 play drive, and hopefully they miss a field goal, or maybe you get a turnover. So, Patrick Graham, I think this defense is not going to be the strong point of this team at all. This offense is going to have to really surprise us and do some work.
Oh man, I agree. I agree 1,000%. I've literally said the biggest X factor to this season on this team is not even a player. It's Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly. And that's how it's going to work. That's how it's going to work for the Raiders. If they're going to catch teams by surprise and and like why they adjust on so many different levels that we talked about, the offensive line, the offense in general, whatever the case may be, the defense having like, you know, their shortcomings, is Chip Kelly catches the NFL by surprise. Chip Kelly's offense is, and that's going to include some of the people that you mentioned, but that's going to include Ashton Genty. That's going to include like, hey, how he looks with Geno Smith, the offense, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Because when you have a good offensive coordinator, I said this to Severe the other day, when you have a good offensive coordinator, the great players are going to be great, but it's the other guys who look even better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From the Michael Mayers to the Trey Tuckers, Dante Thornton, you know, Besh, all these guys, they're going to look even better with a good offensive coordinator. And that's who we think that Chip Kelly is. So, and I wanted to bring it to that because, you know, a lot of people are like, oh man, you guys can be negative or whatever. We're not. We're just being honest. We're just being honest. We're keeping it real, man. Just keeping it real, man. And hey, man, shout out to Chewy's NFL News and Podcast, my guy. Appreciate you supporting the show. You guys haven't already, make sure to go head over to his channel and hit the subscribe button. He said we lit this weekend. Go Raiders. He also gave me another super chat, man. Hey, appreciate the support, brother. He says sorry, but no playoffs this year. Yeah, I don't see it, but if they do, I'll be happily wrong. I just want to be clear because for some people are like, oh, you guys are hating. I will be happily wrong if the Raiders make the playoffs. I'll be happily wrong if the Raiders defense is top 5. I'll be happily wrong. And, you know, offensive line is the best offensive line in football. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. Like, it's not a problem for me because I'm a, you know, fan of the team. I watch the games just like everybody else every Sunday. And I want to see a good product out there. But, you know, we got to be honest. We got to keep it real.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me hit the chat up real quick. No, what you about to say, Severe?
No. I was gonna say, you know, they say that the best indicator of future performance is past performance. So like people would just want to just wipe away history and like, you know, like it's Men in Black. It's usually hit with the thing. Is okay, you know what, you know, and I understand being it's hard to just get, you know, to go into a season after getting beat down every single season and like, you know, wanting to enjoy football and thinking you're going to lose. So nobody wants to go into a season thinking they're going to lose. But you just understand that there's going to be growing pains. Now it can still, but that can still be fun. It can still be fun because we have some great players to root for. Like I think Brock Bowers, I already said, I think he's going to be a much better player this year. I don't think he's going to have the same production, but I don't think he's going to have the same production because I think Michael Mayer is going to step up big time. I haven't been a fan of him in the past, but I think Trey Tucker is going to have a really good year from what we've been hearing. I think Kobe Myers, I think he's going to take another step, and we've been hearing about the chemistry between him and Geno is uncanny. So I think if this offensive line solidifies, I think we'll have a chance to be a very good offense. And you know, one thing we looked at before, I want to say on the 50-50 show, is that you know, Geno Smith is one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the final 4 minutes. So if we can just keep the game close, get him to the fourth quarter, you know, get him to those final 4 minutes, we have a chance to win every single game. But the key is that we have to keep it close, or we have to be, you know, playing with the lead at that point. If we can play with the lead, if we're playing with the lead, then we can do, at that point, 2 things can happen. Malcolm Kuntz and Max Crosby, and you know, even Tyree, you pin your ears back, let y'all go at the quarterback, right? Because we know they're in throw mode right now. And then on offense, when we do get the ball back, take the air out that thing. Hey, you're getting a heavy dose of Ashton Genty, a heavy dose of Zamir White, heavy dose of Raheem Mostert. You know, we're just gonna take the air with the ball, and we're gonna bleed this clock. But you know, it's incumbent upon us to actually either play with the lead. I mean, get the lead, you know, keep the lead, and then, you know, finish that thing off. And it's the I think we can score. It's not the scoring part. It's the keeping the other team from scoring early in the game. And as you said before, like, you know, on the D line, like Adam Butler and Max, they're the constants. But the players that have to play in space, we have a lot of new guys in those areas. So it's crucial that those guys catch on quickly. You know, I've liked what I've seen from Isaiah Palomar. He's a guy for the past, I don't know how, 3 years I've been saying this guy. I think Isaiah Palomar is going to I think he's going to be a breakout guy. I think he's going to be a breakout guy. He finally kind of broke out last year. Hopefully, full-year starter, he does it this year. But you know, I think that for this team to be good, I kind of put it on Chip Kelly, where I'm also Ashton Genty. I said if Ashton Genty is generational, I think we could win 9-10 games. If he's just, you know, if he's a very good rookie, you know, rookie of the year caliber player, I was looking like 6-7. And if he's just like a bust or a bum, and we're in like the 4 or 5 territory. So, but that's incumbent upon this offensive line gelling, and then, you know, Chip Kelly doing his job and allowing Ashton Genty to be, you know, the player that a lot of people would think he is.
Yeah.
Or how about we just get money's worth out of Chip Kelly, because he is the highest paid offensive coordinator in the National Football League.
$6 million.
Man.
How about we just get our money's worth? And we average 32 points a game. Let's make that happen.
Man, that's facts. 100%. I mean, we'll see, because you know the run game is something that we had an issue with last year. We were like the worst. I think if not, we're at the very least one of the worst rush offenses in the league last year. So if we can improve,
I think we're dead last. Or
we're dead last. I mean, it felt like it. I mean,
last.
Yeah.
Especially the way we started the season, it was like terrible. It was just terrible. Like, you know what's crazy? I was looking at the statistics, and it's crazy how just looking at stats doesn't give you the context that you need, because we were one of the worst rushing offenses in the NFL, but then our passing offense looked a lot better. But we knew that our passing offense really wasn't that much better. It's just that they had to pass the football because they couldn't run the football. So it's like, but you would have known that if you didn't watch the games, or, you know, just been in tune with the team and what was going on. But like, stats don't really tell the full story.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to click and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Mint Beats to the building says the offense and Chip Kelly are going to have to give our team a defense lead to win the games. Facts.
Like I said, I'm a big fan of Chip Kelly hire. You know, I've when Antonio Pierce was looking at him, obviously I said, you know, Cliff Kingsbury. Everybody remember I was heavy on the bring Cliff Kingsbury in here, but when there was rumors of Chip Kelly, I was cool with Chip Kelly. You know, I like what Chip Kelly brings to the table as an offensive coordinator, and his experience, and everywhere he's gone, except that I think that year with the 49ers, but every other offense he's had, it's been good offense. And the offensive struggles have not been the reason his team hasn't won. You know, there's been other factors. So, and he has a quarterback, I think, that, you know, is underrated and who's very intelligent and who has that leadership. And then he also has a coach that can be that buffer between him and the players, where, you know what, he's kind of, you know, he can be a little bit frosty, you know, he's not the most personable guy, you know, he's kind of quirky, but like Pete Carroll is the diametrically opposite of that, right? He's on the very other end of the spectrum, where he's very jovial and very, you know, rah and all that stuff. So he makes up for those shortcomings that you have with Chip Kelly. So, and I think that combination right there works. And if we can somehow get some defensive production, I think our offense will be fine. But, you know, a lot of this is going to fall on the offense is going to have to carry us. It's just the defense can't be so bad that it can't be like Cincinnati level bad, where it doesn't matter how good our offense is what I'm saying, basically.
Yeah, and Mint Beast follows it by saying aggressive pass rush, but I don't know if we're going to be seeing it this year, but we'll see. I mean, if we can get a good pass rush on defense, that will make a lot of some of the things that we can say that were probably our shortcomings, or things that the Raiders need to get better at, just because that pass rush will make it a lot easier on the secondary and everything else. But that being said, before we wrap it up, let's talk about the preseason game against the 49ers this Saturday, 8:05. Man, what do you want to see this game? Simple and plain. Like, what do you want to see this? Because you're going to be at the game, right?
Yep. Yeah. shit, I want to see this offensive line. I want to see this offensive line just get better. Point blank, period. Because I think that's really where any success that we potentially have, just because we really just talked about it, is this offensive line is going to be what takes this offense to whatever level we end up going, right? If we have a shit offensive line, I guarantee you this offense is going to struggle. If this offensive line can step up, then it's going to give us a chance at finding success on the offensive side of the football. I'm severe. We've done lives quite a bit, and I'm a building trenches guy. I want us to be able to beef up the offensive line and make sure that we're just bullies in the trenches. We just didn't do it this year. We waited. We traded back twice, and we waited till the end of the third round to address it, and we brought in Alice Kappa. And so I want to see this offensive line just kind of come together, start to gel. And one thing I always watch for is, even though we may have our starters in, I always look at what is our competition when those starters are in. Last week Seattle was very open. They said we're not putting in any starters. So we knew our starters are going against their backups. So if we look damn good against some backups, you can't put a whole lot of merit into it, right? So I definitely want to see what our competition is, how the Niners are lining up against us, whether it's starters or backups. But I'm looking at our offensive line, and then one thing I always watch for is the guys that we picked in the first 3 rounds, because you always want your first 3 rounds to produce potential starters, And I want to see Jack Besh get out there. I want to see him kind of get involved. I want to see whoever's playing quarterback have some confidence and look his way, because it felt like last week. Yeah, Jack Besh, I think, got 2 targets, 1 catch, but the quarterbacks never really looked his way. And that just tells me that either the quarterback didn't have confidence to look over there, potentially get him the ball, or he wasn't getting open. The times I saw him, he struggled with separation. So he's a second rounder. I want to be able to see him kind of get separation, get involved, have some sort of piece of this offense with his name on it. And then the 2, obviously Genty, right? I hope Genty gets at least 5 to 7 carries this game, because with the third game, we said it earlier, a lot of these guys that are on the bubble will get playing time, the majority of the playing time. So Genty, I don't even know if he'll play in that third preseason game. So I want Genty to kind of get some reps in this game, get at least 5, maybe 7 carries. Just get his feet wet with some good NFL football. And then it's Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. I think both of them kind of struggled out the gate, which I get it. You struggle a little bit your first NFL game, but I want to see progress, because we said it again when we went live and kind of broke down film, is injuries happen every year. We saw it with our offensive line last year. Against Cincinnati, 3 offensive linemen went down in 1 game. If any of our tackles go down this year, we're in a world of hurt. We're in trouble. If Thayer Mumford or Charles Grant need to go in there, we're in trouble. So I want to see them I want to see both of them get better. I want to see Charles Grant be able to actually compete to potentially take over a Parham spot if he just doesn't work out, and then obviously Darian Porter, so I want to see the guys that we picked in the 3rd round. I really want to see just how they do and how they progress. And are they going to have some sort of impact this year?
Yeah. I mean, you hit up on a lot of points that I 100% agree with. I'll just add and say that, can they just clean up some of the sloppiness from that first preseason game?
Yeah.
From the penalties, from the missed tackles, can they, stop the run, things like that. Just beat the man in front of them. From what the 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan was saying, that the 49ers are going to put out starters, but when you got 20 guys out, I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like from, Thursday until Saturday. I mean, are they going to play the Nick Bosa's? Are they going to play their first round? I think it was Mikhail, the guy that they drafted, the guy that was connected to the Raiders. I remember Todd McShay was connecting them to the Raiders with that number 6 pick, which was crazy, and I didn't want it, but that's a whole different conversation. But
last thing though, even though I don't expect a lot from the rookies, that first game, it's their first taste of the NFL, so gotta get the butterflies out and the jitters out. What we did see is Tonka Hemingway. he could be something. And so if he gets more playing time, I want to see. We got a hole in that interior defensive line. And so I want to see if that kid can continue to ball. All right. We may have a little something there.
All you need to know about Tyree Wilson and even a guy like Tom Hemingway, there's a quote, I think Max was speaking to the media, and literally the way he talked about Hemingway and the way he talked about Tyree Wilson, it was very specific, very selective with his words. Like, Tyree, I'm behind his corner, took him under my wing, and he's getting better every day. And then he talks about Hemingway. He's like, man, this dude is twitchy, has moves. He gets every day he gets better. Like it's a whole different,
just a whole vibe.
Just want to throw that out there. I thought it was funny, but Severe, go ahead.
People thought it was a conspiracy. Tyree ain't never been on that podcast. People thought it was a conspiracy. It's the truth. But I mean, speaking of Max and Tyree and Hemingway to some degree, no, I want to see us be able to generate a pass rush, man. We did not generate a pass rush at all that first game against Seattle. I want us to see us actually put some pressure on the quarterback. You mentioned Hemingway. I think Hemingway looked good when Pegues was in there. I think Pegues looked real good as well. So, we're looking to see some further development from those guys. Something you mentioned, Pharaoh, missed tackles. My God, the missed tackles was terrible. It even got, they asked Pete about it after the game. Even Max had to address it, when he talked to the media as well, and said they it was something that was going to be a point of emphasis and that they're going to clean up. But man, the play can't end till the guy is tackled or runs out of bounds. So you gotta get these guys tackled, man. Once you have opportunity, you have to get them on the ground. And I'm also interested to see this wide receiver battle. I know Bachman is a guy that he had some success, but a young guy that came on, Shedrick Jackson. I think that's the nephew of Bo Jackson. I think he's a guy that he impressed, and can he build upon that success and potentially earn himself a roster spot. Ironically, we got Raheed Ishmael's nephew is on the team as well, and it's like that Kadir Ishmael, I think he's a tight end. But then Cam Miller as well. I want to see. I know we had a what's real, what's not. But Aiden O'Connell getting traded. If Cam Miller impresses and continues to impress, and Aiden O'Connell does not start putting this thing together, you're going to start hearing a lot more rumblings about Aiden O'Connell getting traded, because if he's struggling, they might just grab they might just go two quarterbacks, or they might just grab a veteran quarterback and have Cam be the emergency quarterback on game day. So Cam Miller's continued progress, that could be something that leads to some major roster moves.
Man, I agree with the wide receiver battle. I actually like Alex. He's having a good camp.
He is.
He's having a good camp, and he had a quote the other day that I really liked. I like his mindset. Is like, man, if I'm going one-on-one with somebody, my whole mindset is that I'm gonna destroy this guy. And I'm like, perfect. come right on in, man. Just come over here. Hey, look, because it's not like he's gonna be the he's not a starting. He's gonna be a complimentary receiver to this room, and if that's his mindset, he's gonna get those opportunities when they present themselves. And if you have that confidence, that means you're going to have that ability to make plays when your number is called upon. So I already like that already. But like you said, Jackson had a solid game. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. But man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in at this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, it's been a great show. Hey, 805, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Guys, man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate my guys. Let me come on here. I'm 805 Raider. My channel is Real Talk Raider Nation. I go live on Sundays and Tuesdays. We break down game film. We also we break down just player film. during the season. We will every Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, because we got to trick YouTube a little bit with the way we cut it up. But we like to break down the game film after every single game, and we just have fun with it, man. At the end of the day, we all know tape don't lie. And so at the end of the day, it'll either make you look good or expose the hell out of you. And, we'll show it and we'll keep it real. So, but we do that, but then I also just do my own individual videos and kind of have fun with it. So, man, I appreciate all the support. Everybody's, rolled with me and rocked out. And I can't thank everybody enough, but I definitely thank these guys two up top for letting me rock out on this Thursday.
Oh, yes, sir, man. Fire show. My mods in the building, man. Anybody here, please post the links for 805's Real Talk Raider Nation so they can go ahead over there and subscribe to his channel. Dude is putting out fire content. As well as my guy over here, Severe, man. Let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, man.
You guys know what it is, man. It's Severe Raider on YouTube, IG, TikTok, X, Snapchat. Basically everywhere the Severe Raider, man. Tuesdays, you catch me with my guy 805, or Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on the film. You catch me with my guy 805 and Chris from Protect the Shield. At this time of the year, we're kind of going into our film phase, breaking down the game film, kind of showing you guys what we're seeing, and sharing with you why we have some of the opinions that we have, because as they say, the eye in the sky don't lie. And then on Tuesday, the world famous 50-50 show, me and my guy PharoahNFL. Been at it for a minute, so make sure you guys tap in with us on that day. And then Around the Shield on Thursdays, man. We've been doing this thing for a while as well, bringing in some of the the best guests from around Raider Nation, some awesome content creators that are sharing a different perspective sometimes. Sometimes we're on the same page, and sometimes we have some disagreements, but it's always a good conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna go ahead and post this link real quick. Yeah, man. Hey, if you guys can find me, PharoahNFL, all over social media, obviously on YouTube, definitely subscribe if it's your first time viewing the channel. We'll be back here next week, 50-50 show, like Severe said, and Around the Shield, man, it's a weekly show. We like to bring our guests, and have great conversations like we did today. So definitely tune in every Thursday here. Let me know if y'all can see it in the chat. Let's see.
Yes,
Severe,
sir.
I don't know if you see it on the chat.
Yep. It's all mine and yours.
All right, let me. Is it a clickable link? Because I did it through sometimes when I do it through here.
Yep, it's clickable. Yep,
perfect. Y'all see the link in the chat, right? Oh yeah, perfect. Yep. Here we go. Boom. 805 channel right there. Definitely head over there if you guys haven't subscribed, man, to get some fire content, man. And yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Yeah, man, great show. Any last thoughts before you head out?
Yeah, man. Just one last thing I didn't mention. The most important thing during the preseason is health, man. Health as well. So hopefully everybody walks away from the game unscathed. We are at 100%. Because part of the problem is that there's not a lot of depth in this team either, so we can't afford many injuries.
Yeah, definitely facts, 100%. Like we haven't really heard any. What? Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson was.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, and it was interesting too because Pete Carroll they had like a big role for him on the defense, that third safety spot. I don't know if that's Pete Carroll just being. Because Pete, and the one thing, Severe, you caught on to Pete, like Pete be lying.
He be selling wolf tickets. He selling wolf tickets, man.
He's one of the most positive guys, but he be lying. He has no problem lying to the media at all. He be lying. And he does it with a smile though. He does it with a great, he just does it with a smile.
It's like you can't be mad at him. He worked in the LA media forever, bro. So I'm sure he learned all of it. I'm just lying. I'm just gonna lie.
That is
He's
wild,
been around
man.
the block. He's been around enough to where he could just get away with it. It don't matter no more with him.
Exactly, man. But we'll be back here soon. You guys said this Sunday you guys gonna have a show?
Yeah,
this Sunday.
This Sunday.
Hey, and home opener. if anybody's going to be at the home opener, it looks like us three are going to be here. Chris, Protection Podcast, we're going to be at the home opener. So if anybody's going to be there, hey, let's all link up, have a beer, and have a good time.
There you go. There you go. All right, man. We out of here. See y'all next week. Peace.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.